And here we are, you guys, for another segment of Bitch Are You Serious? If you're just not tuning into my channel, Bitch Are You Serious is where I talk about the what the fuck moments in my life, whether they happened today, yesterday, or years ago. We're going to talk about it all. And it's either going to be funny, or it's going to be something to make you upset, or it's going to be anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those type of videos. So let's just get into it. The name of this segment of Bitch Are You Serious is Ice Storm 97. I remember, I've talked about this before, so I felt, and I just talked about something along the lines of this on Tuesday when I talked about Emily B and Fabulous and their whole little ordeal with the domestic violence situation. So this is basically me telling my story. As you all know, that I've grown up around domestic violence. I grew up around it. And this particular day is something that I would never ever in life forget. It was late December of 1997. We were out of school for the holiday break. My mother had just quit, had just resigned from being a teacher's assistant at McNeil Elementary School. That was my elementary school that year, and I was in the 3rd grade. She was a teacher's assistant for a long time, and she had just resigned and got her job at the U.S. Postal Service, and she started in January 98, the very next month after this incident. But she had just, resigned. So, everybody knows that we live in the deep south. We live in Mississippi, you know what I'm saying? So we hardly ever see snow. And when we see snow, we cherish that shit because it may be years before we see that shit again. So on this particular day, we had gotten forecast through the week that it was going to be a major winter storm. And of course, we really didn't believe it because it never happens. But lo and behold, it happened. We had a lot of snow. It was icy as fuck. And the lights were out. And so the lights stayed off for a good maybe 3 or 4 hours. And my mother said that, okay, at this point, we can't stay in this house because it's snowing, it's icy, and the shit ain't gonna stop no time soon. So with that being said, we got to get the fuck up out of here, go get a hotel room or something like that, because we can't stay in this cold ass house like that. We got to eat, we got to bathe, we got to do all that. And the house was all electric, so every single thing in there was electric, from the stove to the heater to the water heater. Everything was electric. So with that being said, there was no way we could stay in that house. So as we're getting ready to pack up and try to go somewhere else to go into town to stay, like we were either gonna stay with our aunt until the lights came back on, or we were just gonna stay in the hotel room until the lights came back on. So, as we're packing in the dark, because the lights were out, we were packing in the dark, and my stepfather got dressed. He started washing his face. And at the time, we only had one car, and that was my mom's, I think it was her, was it her? No, it was her Ford Tempo. That's the kind of car she drove at that time. And, we were sitting there, and he was getting ready to leave. That was the only car. So my mother said, "No, where you going?" He said, "I'm going to town." And she was like, "Well, if you going, we going with you, because we can't stay in this house. Like, it's too cold for us to be out here. So we got to go." You know what I'm saying? So he was pissed off about that. And he was very selfish like that, and self-centered like that. And, anytime he didn't have his way, he'll get upset and throw a damn bitch fit about, a bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean? So he was upset about that. So when we packed up, I think one of my mom's friends came out there to help us pack and all of that stuff. So they got in the car with us. And as we're all in the car, I think it was my mom, my stepfather on the front seat, me and my sister, my mom's friend, and her 2 kids. So we were cramped up in that back seat. So, okay, as we're leaving, he said, "Bitch, just take me to my grandmama's house." And it was like, it's just crazy how he was acting because, you know, we were just gonna take them home and we were gonna find us somewhere to go, but bitch just take us to my grandmama's house. I'm like, so my mother knew that it was on some fuckboy shit, you know what I'm saying? So he was on his little, he was in one of his little bitch fits, you know what I'm saying? Mad because he can't have his motherfucking way. So he was back, so he was mad. That whole 10 minutes we came back into town, he was pissed. It was tense. Once we got to his grandmother's house, there, he got out the car, he slammed the door, my mother got off the passenger side, and my mom's friend got out the car to get on the passenger side, and as my mother was getting into the car, they had an argument. And the next thing I knew, he took his fist and he punched my mother, and because the door was still, the driver door was open, so she flew over the door. And the next thing you know, they were fighting. And it was icy, it was snowing outside, and she was fighting him back. My mother is a beast, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you hit her, she gonna try her best to fuck you up. But she really couldn't fuck him up like that because he was much bigger than she was. So while they were fighting, he pushed her in the snow. He took his hand and put it over her face and tried to bury her face in the snow. And his mother walked up, ran up and pulled him up off of her. And that's when I ran up and started hitting him in the back. And when I was hitting him, I told him to get his hands off my mama. Mind you, I ain't nothing but 8 years old. But in another video, I'm going to explain why I'm so overly protective. But I was punching him in the back, and good as he felt, he picked me up like that and threw me in the street. And I landed on my back. I could have easily hit my head on the street and busted my head. But for whatever reason, God was by my side because I didn't bust my head or nothing. All I did was fall on my back. And when my mother saw that, she lost her mind. She lost her mind. She tried to kill him. She was getting ready to call the police, and his grandmother looked at her. God rest her soul. His grandmother looked at my mom and was like, "What you doing?" "I'm calling the police." "What you got the police for?" And I'm looking at her like, bitch, you know what I'm saying? Like, no disrespect to her, you know, God rest her soul. And I'm like, girl, really? You just watched your grandson beat her ass, and you gonna ask her why she calling the police, and you watched him throw me in the middle of the street, and you gonna say why she calling the police? So she hopped in the car, her cell phone, and you know, y'all know how cell phone was back in 97. That's was the first damn cell phone. She had that Nokia phone. So she tried to call, she wouldn't get no signal, so she hopped in the car. We all got in the car, and she tried to run his ass over. And we didn't see him anymore for like a couple of days. My mom's face was fucked up. Her eye was black. If I had that picture, I would have put it, if I had that editing thing, I would put that picture of her during that moment in the video, but I can't because I don't have no editing thing right now. But we, you know, it was crazy. And you know, he apologized and he felt horrible for what he did, and he, you know, threatened to kill himself and all types of stuff, you know, manipulating people, manipulating me and my mom, because we were the ones that he jumped on. If I wasn't okay with him coming back, he never would have came back. But because I was okay with him coming back, he came back. And you know, it's kind of like, I know what it's like to be dealing with domestic violence. I watched it. And you know, that wasn't the first time he put his hands on her. That was early on during the time he was doing it, but that wasn't the very first time. That was one of the first times, but that wasn't the very first time. And I can say this, anytime that we get into an argument, and I was at home, wherever they were at, whether they were in their bedroom arguing or not, I would have to walk to that bedroom door and stand there just to monitor to make sure that he ain't putting his hands on her. And I did that forever. I did that all the way up until they separated when I was like 26. And I'm like, yeah, I know all about domestic violence. That shit ain't cool. But yeah, that was my Bitch Are You Serious for today. Make sure you like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and share the video. Also, you know, tell your friend and tell your other friend to subscribe to my channel. And I hope y'all have a great day. Peace.